Welcome everybody to another exciting, thrilling episode of HomeKit Insider. You got me, Andrew O'Hara, and here with the entire cast of the Newsies, Stephen Robles.
Here, read all about it. We got the HomeKit news right here, 50 cents. Get your newspaper here. And, man, the Newsies, I'm telling you. We were trying to figure out what is a movie, Andrew? What is a movie? Is Hamilton on Disney Plus a movie? No, I don't think it is.
I don't think so.
No. Anyway, listeners, let us know. If you record a musical stage production and put it on a streaming service, does it make it a movie? That's what you can tweet.
I think it makes it a mom with a camcorder.
That's true. Listen, we got news. Big capital letters, exclamation points. So much HomeKit news and reviews and products. And I have a question that I need help from you and our listeners. So let's get to it all. One quick 5-star review. RD Steve from the USA gave us 5 stars. Thank you very much. And we also got a 1-star review. Obviously, I'm not going to give him a shout-out, which I think it's our maybe second 1-star review ever. And it's just amazing, the contrast where it's like, and then like right before and after, 5 stars. Love it. So, listen, if you ever create content on the internet, don't be discouraged by the 1 stars because you're going to get them. It happens. We get them too. That's all. What do you do, Andrew? What is your strategy when you see like 1-star reviews or whatever? Do you just like shrug it off, whatever?
First I'm like, screw them, they don't know what they're talking about. Then I go and cry in the corner. This one here, it's the crying corner. It's because of the soundproofing, I think is...
Yeah, same strategy. I have the same strategy, basically.
Good.
And you take constructive feedback, if they actually said, like, this is something that we wish you would do more or less of or whatever, like, you can take all that with grains of salt, but, my strategy is also to cry in the corner. I think that works the best.
I don't know. It's just really difficult, especially doing like the video side. Everyone has an opinion, and they're very strong opinions. And like, I'm still kind of tinkering with like intros to videos. And we were doing some things. Oh, the intro is too long. The intro is too short. Your intro, like, why did you do a mic drop? And so why aren't you doing mic drop? Like, it's like everyone has opinions. You're leaning too close to the camera when you do your intro. It's a million things, and it's like you try to please as many people as possible, but
you can't please everybody, and it's always telling. It's always a 5-star or a 1-star. There's never like a 3-star review.
Oh, absolutely.
It's always like,
For
this
sure.
is the best or this is the worst. But anyway, our audience is the best, and so let's get to it. First of all, news. You snuck something in here right at the top, right as we started recording. What do you want to talk about? This is a MacBook Air thing. What HomeKit is
this? This is super fast, just because we did have an audience person ask this, and that is on the new midnight color of the MacBook Air. It actually had got here by the time that we did this recording, so I could kind of show it off. People were talking about like fingerprints. You can see there the fingerprints that kind of get on this thing. Yeah, they are cleanable. They're not permanently on there, but just unless you're keeping like a cloth with you, that stuff kind of just sticks to it. And then we have people asking about the ports and the color coming off the ports. So I have not, but I've literally had this for a couple days, barely done anything with it because we've been sticking with this one, the Starlight version, because the spec'd out versions have been hard to come by. And I have not had any color fleck off of the ports yet, but I fully anticipate it to happen. I know people who had like the midnight versions of the Apple Watches, and anytime you have like the aluminum and it's anodized like that, you still have silver, hiding right underneath. And with the Apple Watches, it's not as bad because it's like curved. You're not kind of like snapping anything on it, but those corners are sharp 90-degree angles. Yep. And yeah, if you put your cords in there, your MagSafe kind of hits in there a little quick. I anticipate it's going to happen. So, someone just asked if we had experienced that and what our thoughts were. I think it's going to happen. It doesn't really bother me. I absolutely love the color of this one. I don't know your thoughts, Steven. Even with like the fingerprints, I think these look phenomenal. I said before, it just reminds me of that old black MacBook, and they looked grimy, but that's the one that everyone wanted regardless.
You just triggered a sense memory because I do remember that black MacBook. I had someone in college had it, and it was disgusting, the amount of fingerprints and grease. Yeah. Also, loved it. Like, I was like, man, that's a cool-looking MacBook. Didn't matter. So
for sure, yeah.
Totally get it. That blue does look nice. It's amazing how it looks blue in some light and then, like, pretty much black in other light. It changes a lot depending on the environment. So, youtube.com/HomeKit Insider. You can see Andrew showing it off, fingerprints included. So you get those for free. That's a bonus. All right. Well, a bunch of HomeKit releases and news. We have like a ton of air purifier news today, so I'm going to jam through it. Sensibo launched a new HomeKit-enabled air purifier. This is their AirQ. Oh, no, I'm sorry. This is not an air purifier. It's the Sensibo
Not air
AirQ.
purifier.
Not air purifier. We have a lot of air-related products, but this is an air monitor.
There you go.
Air quality monitor. This is $150 for a single air monitor, but it is HomeKit. You can save money if you want to have multiple monitors. I've never even thought about having 4 air quality monitors around my house, but you can do it. Again, Apple HomeKit related.
Well, what's different here, Stephen, is this is the one that controls. It's an AC controller as well as a monitor. So they originally pitched this as the first AC and heat controller with an air quality monitor, and I was like, ecobee just snuck out before you. Right. If you had gotten this launch up a couple weeks earlier or something, it would have been the first. But ecobee does have the new air quality monitoring built in. The difference is this one is meant for, it'll work with any AC units that have a remote control that are in your home. Okay. So this one will control your AC unit. You turn it on and off, up and down, all of that. And it'll also monitor your air quality at the same time. So obviously your ecobee is like an actual smart learning thermostat for your wall. This is an AC controller remote situation. But yeah, fully HomeKit compatible, includes air quality monitoring, which is really cool. And
it controls it like IR blaster style, I assume?
I think so.
Okay, gotcha. All right, we'll put a link to that. Okay, so that was an air quality and AC remote controller. That's the Sensibo AirQ. Then Airversa, this is an air purifier. And what's amazing is this is the first, at least one of the first, thread-enabled air purifiers. It is now available. You can actually get it, at least in the UK and in Germany, on Amazon. So thread-enabled. It is the Purell Smart Air Purifier, the AP2, and it should be coming soon to the US as well. So if you're looking for air purifiers and you want all that thread goodness, this is 180 pounds, 190 euros, and then some US dollars, probably $200 when it comes out in the US. There you go. Now, do you want to jump to one other air purifier thing? You want to hit the iOS 16 thing? I saw you snuck a beta in here.
No, let's go ahead and jump to the air purifier stuff, and we'll circle back with iOS 16.
Okay, final air purifier news. You reviewed another air purifier, HomeKit SmartMi Air Purifier 2. Not a glowing review, so tell me about the SmartMi 2.
Yeah, so it is a really good air purifier, but there was like a few snags kind of during the setup process that I ran into. A couple changes that they made on the top display compared to the original SmartMi like P1 air purifier that came out. So SmartMi now has essentially 2 in their standard lineup. The smaller version, and then this is the larger version. So it'll deal with rooms up to like 480 something square feet, like a 22 by 22 room, roughly those dimensions. So the negatives that put this a little bit on the lower side of the review score for me was, one, it was very loud when it got up to the highest fan speeds. Some of the other ones that have higher fan speeds, they don't sound quite as loud as this one. Like this one was just like a little obnoxious. Like I compared it to the Pure Flow from VocalLink that's been marred with other issues, and that one does not get nearly as loud. Like I can actually keep that one in our bedroom at like the highest volume, and like it doesn't really bother me. So this one I think is on the loud side. So I thought that was a detractor. Second thing was I had some issues during the setup process, and I don't know how much of this was me specifically versus other folks, but I originally set it up purely through HomeKit. Add to the Home app, great, fantastic. But then in the Home app, I'm not getting the air quality. I'm like, it just says like unavailable. So my first thought is like, maybe it just needs some time to think, right? It needs to like propagate that sensor. Sure. And like get a good reading of the air quality because of the first setup. So I wait like a week because of course I forgot after a couple days. And I come back to it, still no air quality measurements in HomeKit. So I'm like, okay, well something must be wrong. I need to go check the unit. Looking on the unit, it actually has the air quality on top of the display. So the air quality sensor is working. It's not the sensor, not a hardware issue there. So I'm like, okay, we're back to software. Let's try adding this to the SmartMi app. So I go to add it to the SmartMi app, and it's like, you need to reset it to do that. I'm like, well, this is dumb. So it makes me hold the 2 buttons on top of the display, reset things to factory on the Wi-Fi, and then re-add it to the SmartMi app. So I do that, and then it's not showing in HomeKit. So I delete it, and then I can't get it to show now in HomeKit, and I can't add it to HomeKit. I'm like, well, this is really dumb. What is going on here? Something screwed up. So I reset it one more time. I add it to HomeKit, kind of reset some stuff, and now it did show in the Home app. It now was discovered by the SmartMi app and was added to the SmartMi app, and now I do have air quality inside of the Home app. So there's a lot of resetting, repetitious stuff that just did not feel very consumer friendly. Like, I feel like I knew how to troubleshoot things, and if someone just average person buying an air purifier, this would drive me crazy trying to figure out what is going on, what I need to do, how these things are all communicating. So I thought that was frustrating, and you did need to do certain things through the SmartMi app that you couldn't do through the Home app, just a few basic things. So that was soured me a little bit. And then the next thing was the controls on the top. So the display actually looks really nice. There's multiple visual sensors for letting you know like your air quality, and you can even see like your pollen count and stuff like that. It's useful. So I like the display in that regard. But the negative side is that you can't control like the fan speed. You can only choose like auto, I think sleep mode, and then manual, which is like controlled via the app. So I thought that was really dumb that there was no physical button just to go and touch it to change the fan speed between the different levels, which you could do on the smaller P1. So I thought that was a problem. Good stuff, really quick. It's a very nice looking tower. It looks almost like the freaking midnight color of the new MacBook Air. It looks really nice and sleek. It sucks air in from all sides, then pushes it up through the top to circulate in your room. It has really good airflow. I like to turn it on like to that high level when I leave, so I'm not hearing that loud noise, but it cycles air quicker through it. So that's handy. It also has UV sterilizer in there. So like they're not making any claims about like, COVID or anything, but obviously there are studies out there that show how UV light can decrease bacteria and virus count, including COVID. So they're not touching that to trying to make any sort of dubious claims. But I just like if I'm picking a purifier, I'd rather have one with sterilization in it than one with not. So that's definitely a big benefit to choosing this over some of the other ones. But yeah, circular filter, $45 for a new filter. The back cover comes out and just slides out. Put a new one in, very easy to do. Overall, it's really solid. I just had issues with that setup and some of the decisions for the touch screen on the top.
Gotcha. All right, well, great review. Also, kudos to you for getting one of the section headers in your review says wonky integration. Just bonus points for actually getting the word wonky past the editor.
Thank you.
Very good. So we'll put a link to Andrew's full review in the show notes. And before we get to iOS 16, because there's some interesting stuff in the new beta, let's thank one of our friends. This company we've talked about for a long time, Switchbot, has sponsored this episode because they've actually released a brand new curtain rod device. This is the Curtain Rod 2, and it's got a whole new dynamic clamp design. That's a fancy word. Basically, it's going to push your curtain really well. So if you want to automate your curtains, you have a rod. It works with several different kinds of rods. You can get the new Curtain Rod 2, and it costs just $99. You can get it on Amazon or directly from Switchbot. We'll put links to that in the episode show notes. And, of course, I want to remind everybody, Switchbot, they do have HomeKit products as well. Boom! Right there on YouTube, you'll see the Switchbot Plug Mini. Someone was asking me on Twitter the other day, actually, what plugs do I use personally and that I recommend. I have Eve, I have some Wemos, and then, boom, the Switchbot plug for HomeKit works great. So, Switchbot, get the Curtain Rod 2, automate your curtains, push them back and forth. We'll put links to the Curtain Rod 2 in the episode description. So our thanks to Switchbot for sponsoring this episode. Oh, man, I got so much stuff I'm excited about. Okay, iOS 16. Let's jam through this. What do you want to hit here in the beta?
Okay, so there was a couple additions in beta 4 of iOS 16 that was released really small, real quick. They added new wallpapers, and they look really nice. So I'm going to pull this up to the camera for anyone who is watching. So you'll be able to see when it ever focuses that sunset one there on the whatever side that is for you, Steven. But that's an original one. Now we have those new diffused flowers and that white wall.
Hey!
Very nice, stylish wallpapers. I know, it's a nice looking wall. I'm just saying. It's a white wall with like a shadow on it. It's got some nice, color, good background for icons and stuff. Yeah, some new wallpapers for Home App.
That's good.
Of course, you can use what's Aaron's app.
Oh, Home Paper. Is it Home Paper?
Home Paper.
Yes.
You could use Home Paper and make your own. But yeah, if you're sticking with stock stuff,
That's it.
new options for you
Paper.
here in Beta 4.
Very good. Yeah, excited for that official Home app on all my devices. I still haven't put the beta on my main phone. I can't bring myself to do it. I was tempted. Public beta's out. I was like, yeah, but I didn't do it. This was interesting. A whole company has come back from the grave. Wink. Wink has tweeted and said that they've updated their servers and monitoring systems are reconnecting. So I guess Wink Smart Home is alive. Huh? Maybe? Almost? What is this? What?
Dude, here's the thing. Here's the thing with this. What I thought was so interesting was like, they were gone. Everything stopped connecting. No communication from the company. If I'm a Wink user, I'm like, okay, cool, and punching those out the door faster than the trash guy can pull up. And then all of a sudden, they're just like, oh, excuse me, we're working on some maintenance. Server should be fixed shortly. We're like, maintenance? What? What do you mean? We thought you were dead. And then, like, a day later, they're like, everything should automatically have been reconnected. Like,
listen.
What happens?
Something shady when a company turns off replies in their tweet. So you can't even reply to this tweet from Wink. That's when you know something's up. That's all I'm saying. That is all I'm saying.
That's like just a human in your life disappeared. Like, your family member just disappeared for, like, 3 months.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden they text you, like, almost back with the groceries. And it's like, what?
Yeah, and also don't ask where I've been. That's what Wink is saying. Don't even ask.
And you turned on Do Not Disturb, right. So they can't reply to you back. And then they're like, I'm home. Like, what do you mean?
Weird.
Where have you been?
Weird.
Yeah, so weird. I'm not exactly telling people to jump back to Wink. Like, after that, like, just because their lights are back on, who knows what they've got left? I don't know. It just seems sketchy. Maybe more information will come out by the time like this releases, but
they're alive. So,
who knows? It was weird.
Was strange.
Kinda, yeah.
All right, new product, TP-Link. They make some HomeKit stuff. They're actually releasing a new light strip. This is under their Tapo brand. It's going to be a $47 HomeKit-enabled light strip, and always nice to have something new in that category. But, I saw this news. Great, another light strip. But this just made me think, Andrew, I am ready for new HomeKit categories. I want more things in my home, different things, to be smart. And one of the reasons why, and I'm going to try something fancy here. If you're on youtube.com/HomeKit Insider, I'm going to share something with Andrew. I didn't say anything about this. Can you see what I'm showing right now, Andrew? What is that? What did I just show you?
Oh, Steven, really? Just that is your new Roborock S7 Max V Ultra with empty wash fill station.
Yeah, I like how that's the full name. Anyway, my Roborock S7.
I've said it and written it so many times.
I finally came. Listen, I know we've already talked about it. I just want to say this thing cleans the floors. Like, this thing actually does the deal, and it vacuumed and mopped, and it does great. So I love it. The way it maps your house too, amazing. Like, it's all amazing. I'm just because now I've personally experienced this, and it's great. And they didn't send it to me. I bought this thing because we wanted a robot vacuum. Our old Roomba was dead and gone. That thing didn't do anything anyway. So this thing is amazing, but I'm like, I really wish this could be in HomeKit. I want this thing in HomeKit. I want other things in HomeKit. I looked up the Homebridge integration. Super janky. Like, you have to adjust the XML file. I don't even know if the S7 is supported. It said it supports the S6, so I'm not sure if the S7 could even be in Homebridge. You have to mess with all the XML files.
Have you add the Siri shortcuts?
I did the Siri shortcuts, but for some reason, like when I do a shortcut from my phone, it struggles for my wife to trigger it. Because honestly, my wife is the one that triggers more of the robot vacuum thing. Because we want to do it when everybody's out of the house. She's out. She's taking the kids somewhere. Time to vacuum. I'm holed up here in the office. It's basically a cave. I don't leave. I don't care if the vacuum's running outside. But she wants to be able to yell to Siri like she used to. Because the Roomba, I got that in HomeKit. Pretty straightforward. And whenever she was running out the door with the kids, she was like, hey, Home Assistant, vacuum. And it would go. But when I can make a shortcut on her phone, and maybe it would trigger when she says it, but I really just want it in HomeKit. And the Roborock Homebridge thing, you have to adjust the XML file for every room, and it's really complicated. And I was like, it would just be amazing if robot vacuums came to HomeKit. So all that to say, I'm ready for some new HomeKit categories, robot vacuums especially. Like, this thing is so advanced. The camera, like, my kids were having a blast because we were, like, watching this thing go under, like, chairs and stuff. Like, so fun. And you can also control it. I forgot about that part. You can actually, like, literally drive the thing like it's an RC car. Like, it's amazing. I just want it in HomeKit. So that's all I'm saying. I'm ready for new categories. That's it.
Yeah, it's really cool. We just had ours running yesterday, and it's going around the house. And I always think it's funny as people kind of deal with the robot. My wife is just, she just walks, and she just pauses and wait for the robot to come out of the bathroom and, like, cross the hallway and go. It's like, yep, just waiting for the robot to finish using the bathroom real quick. And, of course, we just mopped everything, and my mother-in-law was over. We went and looked at, like, the baby chickens that are out there in the gardens, and we came back inside, and it was kind of, muddy and wet out, and she comes in and, like, takes, like, 2 steps on the floor, and Faith's like, Mom, I just mopped, and you're just walking right through. I'm like, we mop around this place now. We've got a mopper, a mop.
And it mops well.
Robot.
And it mops well. I will say that from experience now. So, anyway, new categories. Come on, Apple. Let's get some robot vacuums in there. I couldn't confirm this, but the website HomeKit News said that supposedly the Wemo Switch and dimmer with thread, which was announced at CES months ago, is rumored to come out. It was supposed to come out this summer sometime, and we're in August. As you listen to this episode, it's August 1st. Still no sign of it. It was supposedly seen on the Wemo Belkin website. I did a search, and I couldn't find it, at least as we record, but it looks like the release is imminent, or at least coming very soon. So if you're looking for some light switches and you were looking at the Wemo ones, hold off. Don't buy the Wi-Fi only ones yet. Wait till these thread-enabled models come. Trust me, you're going to want it, because I have the non-thread versions because I had to get them when we were building our house, and I wish they were all thread. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, they did show these off at CES. They said, I think, the second half of this year, so we're really right on track with what they had said and what to anticipate for these to be released. I just found it weird that, like, HomeKit News didn't put a link. They're like, oh, yes, this was on Wemo's website, but didn't include a link to Wemo's website for us to check this out. But yeah, standard stuff for Wemo here. They're like one of the few that likes to do the NFC pairing for HomeKit, which I think is really nice, and I'm always surprised why no one else does. NFC chips are, super cheap, so I don't know why no one else likes to do that instead sticks with pairing codes. But hey, so new Switch coming soon.
Hopefully it comes soon. All right. So Meross actually released a new InWall Relay. This is for the EU only right now. And the InWall Relay is basically if you don't want to change out your actual light switch, but you want to make it HomeKit enabled, smart home enabled, this is a relay that goes behind a dumb switch and will make the switch smart, basically. We'll add the smarts behind the switch. It's only 14 euros, and so if you want to make some switches smart but don't change the physical switch exterior, what it looks like, you can do that now with a new InWall Relay. And there's been other InWall Relays before, but one of the things that fascinated me, like just seeing the picture of this thing, I have no idea how people have that much room in their gang boxes, because as I have installed smart switches in this house, it is a very tight fit whenever I have to put just a smart switch. And this relay is like pretty thick. So I don't know, Andrew, when you've changed out switches, I mean, do you have a ton of room or is it pretty tight for you too?
I don't know. I mean, it usually depends, but I don't usually have a ton of issue. The only one that I ever had real problems with maybe was like the doing the Brilliant one in our living room, and we had like the three gang or the 3 switch controller, and it's fairly robust at that point putting it in, but otherwise I haven't had too much of an issue. I didn't have an issue in my studio because in my studio we got really thin walls, like we got like the cement installation, but I wanted to maximize my space, so we use like the 2x2s or something instead of full 2x4s, and the walls are like much thinner, so we're using like shallow boxes for everything. So yeah, some of those were a little tighter, and it limited where I could put something like the Brilliant control there, or a smart switch in general. But other than that, I haven't had too much of an issue.
All right, well, I might ask another friend, or thinking another sponsor here, but your video froze on my side. Is it frozen for you?
No, everything
seems
fine.
You just popped in. Okay. Usually the upload is fine, so it's okay. Hi. You're moving now. Very good. Well, let's thank our other friend anyway. This is a good break. We want to thank Collide. Collide is our other sponsor for today's episode. Listen, traditional endpoint security tools can make your workplace feel like a surveillance state. Especially if you use a lot of those mobile device platforms, they can be good, but your employees feel like they don't have full access to the devices that they need to use for their work. It doesn't have to be this way. Collide is a device security solution built around honest security. Their philosophy is that employees aren't your biggest risk, they're your biggest allies, and your relationship with them should be based on that transparency and consent. And so here's how Collide works. It actually sends Slack messages to the employees of your business with security issues and updates and recommendations, and gives them step-by-step instructions on how to resolve those issues themselves. So for IT and security teams, Collide provides the right level of visibility for Mac, Windows, and Linux devices, and it can answer questions about your fleet security that other mobile device managers can't. You can meet your security goals without compromising your values. I don't know why I couldn't say values. And you just visit collide.com/HomeKit to find out how. That's KOLIDE.com/HomeKit. They'll also hook you up with a goodie bag of stuff just for doing the free trial. You get a goodie bag of free stuff just for doing a free trial. That's collide.com/HomeKit. Our thanks to Collide for sponsoring this episode. All right. Now, what else we got? Okay, this thing.
We still have more news. We are half hour into the show, and we have more
amazing
news.
Okay, so Google. Okay, here's the thing. Last week, first of all, I think my HomeKit rant, that was popular. I saw people tweeting about the HomeKit Secure video rant, and so I thought that went well. I'm not going to do a rant here, but again, just talking about cameras and security, Amazon, we talked about a couple weeks ago how they were providing law enforcement with video and audio recordings without a warrant. So from random consumers, Ring cameras, police can actually request from Amazon to get that footage and audio, and Amazon will provide it in some cases without a warrant. 12 times in the last year, Amazon has provided that footage, and it has found out that Google also has this method for law enforcement to request camera and audio footage from Google devices without a warrant. Now, Google says they have not done this yet. I guess there's not been a request just yet, but it is a system that is in place. And in contrast, Arlo, Apple, Wise, Anker, and Eufy all confirmed to CNET that they won't give authorities access to your smart home's camera footage unless they show a warrant. So there's a stark difference. Now, Amazon and Google are in one camp saying they will provide this footage without a warrant, and a lot of others, like Arlo and Apple, we talk about a lot, they do require a warrant. So, man, what did you think about this when you read it?
I just think, it's just one of those weird things, and I think Arlo actually had a comment on this that made a lot of sense, which was if there is an imminent circumstance that requires them to get this stuff, they should be able to request an expedited hearing with the judge, like in seconds, and get that warrant approved to go through the proper process, rather than requiring the company to provide information without that warrant. And I'm like, that makes sense. Like, if it's so imminent that someone's life is in danger that they think they should be able to get it without a warrant, they should be able to request that expedited review by a judge to get that warrant in very, 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 very short amount of time. Really no additional time to get that and get a proper warrant and get the information. And that way everybody's bases are covered. The cops are going through the proper channels, or the law enforcement going through proper channels. You have an actual warrant which protects the companies that are doing things as they were required to do, and they're not giving away consumer data, and everybody can be trusted. And just weird. If it was me with my cameras, I don't know. I feel like if somebody asked me, hey, would you help with it? I'm like, sure, here's all the footage that you need. But at the same time, it just starts to be a slippery slope of oh, well, there's some situations where we won't ask you, or we won't even tell you after the fact that we've done so. And I think that's where things get weird and sketchy, and you don't want that. So it's nice to see companies like Arlo, Apple, Wise, Anker / Eufy all doubling down, saying we will not do this without a warrant. And some, I think it's Apple and Eufy, both are we don't even have access to your stuff. We can't. It's all end-to-end encrypted. We can't see diddly. So even if we got a warrant, we couldn't do anything without use permission or something like that. There is other data that Apple could provide, Eufy could provide, but in terms of like actual video footage, it's all encrypted.
Yeah.
So it's good to see other companies doubling down on it, but odd that Amazon and Google don't. And Amazon out there with literally just like a checkbox. This is an emergency. I swear it. And it's probably oversimplified, but
I think if it was like just Ring doorbells, because that's an exterior, it's on the outside of your home. I don't think it should be like this, how it is set up. But that's one thing. But I'm just thinking, Amazon also has the Echo Show, which has a camera inside your house. And with Google devices like the Nest Hub and the Nest Hub Max, I believe that has a camera as well. And it's like, that means that law enforcement could request video footage from inside your house if there is an emergency. And that feels even grimier. I don't know. I just thought of that. So, yeah. That's all I'll say to that. And Ring
is launching more indoor cameras, I believe. So it just doubles down on that.
Okay, so that was that. We'll put the link. The Verge had the article on all that. Now let's get to some personal projects, and I have a big question for everyone. But first, Eve button follow-up. Now you said you have some follow-up as well. So tell me, what Eve button follow-up do you have?
Yep. So I was doing the thing that all of us HomeKit smart home people do every few months. It's battery recharging and swapping day. So I'm going through, charging my Eve rooms. I am doing all that stuff. Now, I haven't used the Eve button, but you mentioned the new firmware, which did, in the release notes, say, improved functionality with triggering inadvertent scenes and all of that. And I'm like, okay, let's get this thing up and running. So I pick up my Eve button from the floor of my basement. I don't even turn it over. I didn't even turn it. I just walked upstairs, grabbed a dime out of my wife's little coin jar, and I opened it in less than a second.
Listen, I don't have dimes laying around.
I had zero issue. Zero.
I don't keep change at my desk. But listen, my follow-up is, look, I did open it up. Go to youtube.com/HomeKit Insider. Look, there's the inside of the Eve button. I did open it. It does look like it's secure and well made. I don't think you'll have a battery issue for the most part with the Eve button. But anyway, there's the inside. Everyone was asking. So that's my follow-up. It's fine. And I don't have dimes laying around anymore.
Well,
not dimes everywhere. I don't have a penny jar. Anyway.
Well, regardless, I actually did have a problem with my Eve room because that battery compartment is so tight that it's marring the plastic. It's bending the plastic, and I'm unable to easily open and close it. So I got it open, and I literally could not close it all the way. I'm trying to make sure it's pushed in properly. I'm using a nickel because that's the chonkiest of the coins that fits in there the best. And I even tried putting a piece of duct tape on it and then putting the coin in to give it some extra grip, something like you might do with a screw that's been stripped a little bit. So I was trying to do that, and it is just bending. It is breaking off, not breaking, but scratching the plastic, and it's not closing very well. So I eventually got it, but I don't know how many more times I'm going to be able to replace the battery on this before that compartment thing has issues. So I might need to message their customer support, hey, you got some spare backs?
So that did you program the button?
Put on here? Because that was my problem. So my Eve button was cool.
Have you tried it again?
Yeah. So I have a set of Lutron shades here in the basement, and I did buy one of their Pico remotes, but I bought one, and that was a mistake because you come in and you want to control the shades by the door. You're going to go outside, you got to open those shades. But maybe you're in another part of the room where you come downstairs and you want to open the shades or something. So I needed a second controller. So I used the E button to do this, and I set up some conditionals on if it's so one press is open or closed, two presses can go to the favorite position and things like that. So I've been using that as a shade controller, which has worked. It's worked well, but I don't have it. I don't watch my shades. They're in the basement, so I don't see them all the time. So I don't know if there's been any sus activity going on, but so far they've been
and I
good.
could say again, I've been using the Eve button pretty much every day. It's been solid for me. No phantom scenes running, no phantom presses. So I'm liking it. I like the Eve button. Would love a thread version sometime soon because this is still just Wi-Fi. It is a little slow sometimes, so Thread would be nice.
I agree. I still like the stage scene controller. I haven't had the battery issues you have.
Maybe got
that's been really reliable.
But speaking of Eve and Thread devices, you have an Eve Motion review. And guess what, Andrew? Wha-bam! I also have the Eve Motion.
What?
It came early.
Wha-bam!
Look at that. We're both holding up these Eve Motions. If it ever focuses, there it is.
Oh, look at that.
Eve Motion. You had a funny tweet. You put this next to the Hue Motion. You said that which is which. If it didn't say Eve on the front, I feel like it would be, and you should have done like one of those like forced perspective things, so they looked like exactly the same size. You know what I mean? Like put the Eve one farther away. So similar to the Hue motion sensor, although definitely chunkier. This thing is a big motion sensor. But tell me what you think about the Eve Motion.
Going back to that tweet real quick, it was interesting, the responses. Like, you see some diehard Eve fans that are like, I will defend this. I will lay down on the train track to defend it. And and then you've got the Hue folks that are out there, and they're being like, this is way better than the Eve one, and they're like going down that route. And I'm like, I was just making a joke. They look the same. And I appreciate those that were coming on and being like, if it wasn't for the Eve branding, I would totally know. The one that says Eve is clearly the Philips Hue. I'm like, thank you. You're my guy. Like, I'm just making a joke because they look so similar. But going into the review stuff, so I guess starting with design, this is a lot bigger than I had anticipated based on the images. Like, you see the images, and I thought it was smaller. What, did you think that too when you saw the pictures? Like, when you got it, is it bigger than you thought?
Slightly bigger. You know, I mean, it's not like a compact disc. You know, it's not huge, but it is definitely chunkier. But I was planning to put this outside, so I'm good with the size. If you wanted a discrete motion sensor, I would say this is not discrete. But yeah.
I think the reason that I expected a smaller size, because I was comparing it mostly to the recent other Eve devices, so the Eve Room and the Eve Button and the Eve Degree, where they're all this consistent size. Yeah, so that's what I had in my head size-wise for the new Eve Motion. Like, that's just, I see all of those, and then I'm like, okay, this is just a white version of that, and it'll be similar size. No, it's twice as thick, and it's a bit bigger in all dimensions. But it is smaller than the last generation Eve Motion. So if you look at the, like 3 times as thick.
If you go to youtube.com,
Steven's holding them both up.
I'm holding up the Eve
like
button to the new Eve Motion, and it is like 3 times the thickness. It's pretty thick.
Yeah. So it is smaller than the original Eve Motion. If you look at my review, it's linked down below in this whole thing. You can see the comparison. So it is a little bit smaller than the last generation Eve Motion, which is good and a step up. Set up everything, super flawless, very easy to do. Add to the Home app, add to the Eve app, does not matter. It'll show in both instantly. There's added functionality in the Eve app. And I always like to stress this for those that kind of wonder, like, oh, are they collecting additional data or doing different things outside of HomeKit? No. Every single thing that the Eve Motion does is solely using exposed HomeKit properties. So you can see things like, motion everything in the Home app and create your automations, but when you jump into the Eve app, you can see things like motion last detected 9 minutes ago. You can see a graph over the last 24 hours of when motion was detected. So you can actually see it plotted on a graph of when motion happened in your home or that room. Same goes for the light sensor. You can see the brightness levels, and it'll literally say, right now it's pitch black, which is kind of cool that it'll translate it for you to it's straight up black. Like, if you're not sure what the lux level is, it's just all gone. It's all black. So that's kind of nice too. Then you can actually view all of it, like the individual data points, which is kind of cool. You can go in and view a list of all the data points that it collected. So that's really neat. You have those extra benefits from there. You can also change some of the settings for this thing. Contrary to Wirecutter, you can change sensitivity levels on motion. You can do it inside of the Eve app. So you can choose low, medium, high motion sensitivity. And you can choose to only have this operate in the dark. So maybe you have this outside, right? Because this does have IPX3 water resistance for rain. You can put this outside and turn on some lovely string lights over your patio. And you do not want to do that when it's light out, because there's no point in powering a bunch of filament bulbs. So you want it to only happen at a certain brightness level. And you could set it on sunrise or sunset, but if it's like, you say, oh, I want it to happen only 10 minutes before sunset, but it's really cloudy that day, so it's really dark, and then your lights aren't turning on, and it's obnoxious. So you can do it with a light sensor, and I think that's far more accurate, and you can tailor it to exactly what you want. So you can choose to use that light sensor to trigger this thing to go on and off. So those are all nice features of this guy. In terms of performance, works really well. Haven't had any issues with performance. I don't know about you, Steven, but whenever you set up like sensors in HomeKit, sometimes they don't like operate right away. So like I set this thing up, and I'm getting no notifications from Motion, just not happening. It needs a little bit of time. Like I gave an hour or two for it to fully add to your home hubs throughout your house, get really situated and comfy in your Thread network, and then after that, everything was fine and dandy. So once this propagated through my home, everything was good and everything was super fast. So I get actual alerts temporarily for testing, when motion is detected. And right now I'm using it in my basement, so I'm trying to find a good spot to mount it that the cat won't trigger all the time, but I want to be able to trigger it automatically whenever I walk downstairs or come from the studio or anything. The lights in the basement turn on. So they turn on and they go off 15 minutes later. Everything's been rock solid. And I was surprised that my Thread-enabled bulbs were pretty much just as fast as my Hue bulbs to turn on in the basement when detected by motion. So all really good. Haven't had any issues with it at all. I like pretty much everything about it. I don't like the design. I just don't. I would have rather, especially for a motion sensor, I would have preferred just to have this plugged in. I would have put this on a desk or something and plugged it in. But they're oh, this fits more into homes. Brick wall here, we've got gray walls. This doesn't match everyone's home. Not everyone's home is white. The silver, I think, made more sense because it would actually kind of reflect the walls and the color of the room, making it blend in more, which was the original Nest's ideology for its design. Those metal sides were to reflect the walls of the room to help it fit in more in any surrounding. And I kind of find that with the other buttons. I think those fit in more with my home, all the other Eve products, more than this does. This is just really obvious. It's large and it's white. I feel like it had to be larger because of the battery compartment for those AAA batteries that go back there, 2 AAAs. So I don't know. I don't like the design of it. I think it's big and chunky and it sticks out in a room and it feels kind of cheap in comparison to other Eve products. But functionality-wise, cost-wise, everything is great.
This is a quick shot of the motion events that you get in the Eve app, so you can actually see timestamps of everything that happened. And like Andrew was saying, you can also adjust the sensitivity in the Eve app, which is really cool. And you can even choose whether you want the LED light to turn on. So that's the sensitivity settings on YouTube: low, medium, high. A light condition motion will only be triggered in a dark environment, which is a really cool toggle. You don't get that with a lot of other ones. And then the LED on motion is a cool toggle. So, on the Hue motion detector, that red light will, shine whenever there's motion, no matter what. I'm not sure if the Hue actually, I'll have to look it up if you can actually turn that off in the Hue app. But the Eve one, the little LED light is here up at the top, and you can say, don't turn it on when there's motion, or turn it on when there's motion. So it's cool, yeah. Adjust those options, and adjusting, like Andrew said, that sensitivity in the Eve app will affect how the automations in HomeKit work. And so it does affect what it is in HomeKit. But anyway, I like it. I'm actually going to use this outside because this can be used as an outdoor motion detector. And even though it's chunky, I do like it has the little, if you want to put a screw in the wall. Yeah, the little mounting bracket.
Mounting
on
bracket.
That, which I just realized. I throw out the box and there's probably a screw just for that. I should probably get that screw before I take out the trash. Yeah. So anyway,
probably
I'll have to do that. But no, I echo everything you said. Yeah, I do wish it was kind of more like the black design of the Eve button and stuff. But yeah, it's cool. It's a cool motion detector and it works pretty fast. That's the deal.
As I've been kind of playing with this more, Steven, the one thing that I kept thinking was that like I've got these cameras in common rooms. Now, some things like bathrooms, bedrooms, stuff like that, motion for the win. But you're going with things like living room, basement, outside, all of that. More often than not, I don't want it to trigger off of any motion. I want it to trigger off of humans. And it really frustrates me that HomeKit doesn't have the ability to like only trigger based on like a person entering a room. You know, and they claim to do this with, you know, HomeKit Secure Video that has like the AI detection, which I do have issues with their like AI recognition for things, but it just like the cat and the dog set this stuff off all the time. So like the cat sets it off and then the basement lights come on, then they go off 10, 15 minutes, whatever later. And I just think it would make much more sense to be able just to trigger based off of the cameras. There's still place for motion sensors in other spots, but like seriously, I've been using the original Eve Motion in our bathroom, and it's great because you can come into the bathroom in the middle of the night, don't have to turn the lights on because the motion trips, and then it turns on like these lower light strips to like a low brightness, so you don't blind yourself, but you can still see like where you're walking and, you know, go into the bathroom. So stuff like that is great for motion sensors. But there are other times where I just wanted to trigger off of a human and not other random
I'm looking
things.
forward to the day where occupancy sensors are more ubiquitous and more available and less expensive, because right now they're pretty expensive. Just as a follow-up, this is the Hue Motion Sensor Sensitivity. You do get more granular control over the Hue Motion Sensitivity. It's a slider rather than just low, medium, and high. But there is also not an LED light adjustment. So the LED light, you can't like disable that whenever there's motion. Just a quick idea for a motion sensor, two places that I really love it are closets, because I have there's a toy closet, and my camera just died. That's cool. So if you're watching on YouTube, let me restart that, I guess. Hey, I was gone. Anyway, great place for motion detectors is closets, because I have a toy closet that the kids access, and then a pantry that is really kind of like a closet. And being able to just turn the light on when you open the door and it turns off after 5 minutes, it's great, because most of the time the light's off, and when you need it, it's on because you open the door. So you can also do a contact sensor for those things, but sometimes, you know, someone leaves the door ajar a little bit, then it's annoying because it shows that the door is open in your contact sensor, and it's not going to trigger the automation to turn on if someone just like opens it more. Pantry door is a lot like that. It's always kind of open just a little bit. And so a motion detector, I find, is more useful in that kind of scenario. So, well, yeah.
I love when you said like the light comes on, your camera came back on, like their lights were coming on with what you were saying. We use the motion sensor most, I think, in our kitchen, because we have several Hue light strips underneath all of the cabinets, and then the Hue Motion Sensor, and it's so nice how granular you can get through the Hue app in setting up automations. So it's like based on you can choose like based on time of day and all these different time segments, what like the brightness would be and the color temperature will be. So like, you know, at night it'll be like a warm, soft glow when you come into the kitchen. Also, if the cat sets it off, it's not like blowing up the house with brightness and everything. So it's like soft glow, early in the morning different, and then throughout the day it's like full brightness and clean white, stuff like that. So it's really nice and easy to set things up through the Hue app, and it gets kind of convoluted if you get to too many conditionals.
All right, real quick before we go, we only got a few minutes left, but I have a question. I need help from you, Andrew, and from all of our listeners. I'm going to share one more picture if you're watching at youtube.com/HomeKit Insider. Got a new little toy for the outside, and by toy I mean I got a giant inflatable screen with a cheapo projector. And so one of our new fun activities is watching movies at the pool. So we're outside, we're at the pool, and you know, the projector, I'll put a link to the one I got. It was like $300 for the projector. The screen was like $100. Really fun. You know, it's got to be pitch black. You know, it's not like some super high-end projector, so you got to wait till it's like really dark nighttime. But here's the thing with watching stuff by the pool, and this is like 100% first world problem, but because the screen that we're projecting on is run by a fan constantly, so you plug in this fan that's like built into the screen, and that's what keeps the screen inflated. So there's constant fan running while the screen is up. That's noisy. Also, we do have a hot tub, which is amazing. If you run the jets in the hot tub, that's also very loud. And so as we quickly discovered, we were trying to watch Star Wars Rogue One of the best Star Wars movies, let's be real. And it was a lot of fun seeing it. Could barely hear anything anyone was saying because the audio situation for a setup like this is very challenging. So I tried actually using a Google Chromecast because I had one of those that I use when we travel. And it's a pretty nice device, has a standalone remote. It can be powered by USB, and this particular projector had a USB port, so you could like power it right there. Didn't need to run more power to the Chromecast. Problem is the Chromecast is very limited on your audio. Basically, you can't do anything. It doesn't even connect to like a Bluetooth speaker. So Chromecast was quickly out. Now I do have two Sonos One SLs on the patio in a stereo pair, so I can use AirPlay. So first solution was I took my iPad mini with a little HDMI adapter, plugged my iPad mini into the projector, that powered it just fine, and then I AirPlayed the audio to the Sonos speakers. That works. You can do it. If you're in the hot tub, which is on like the opposite side of the patio, you can't hear them. Like even with the speakers on full blast, it's too far away. With all the noise, you can't hear anything. The other option was a Bluetooth speaker. We have a JBL, not the Extreme, but it's like the Charge or something. It's a pretty good sized speaker, and we connected that with Bluetooth. That we can at least move anywhere, and it will play to the Bluetooth speaker and the screen, and the iPad can do all that. That was fine, but you kind of have to be right next to the speaker. So my question is, how do I get at least audio where you can hear what people are saying in this loud outdoor situation? My current thought is maybe I get a Sonos Move and I AirPlay to multiple speakers, both the stereo pair ones that are in like the seating area, and move the Sonos Move speaker to wherever people are in the pool or the hot tub. This way, if you're in the sitting area or in the hot tub, you can at least hear what's being said. But that's kind of messy. I don't know if it's going to reliably AirPlay to multiple speakers all at the same time. So, I don't know, man. Do you have any thoughts on a solution for this?
Yeah, my first thought, okay, I had a lot of thoughts, and I know we have not much time. First up, the projector drove me, the display drove me crazy because there was a lot of wrinkles on it for a screen. Like even when we do outside projectors a lot to watch games or play like Jackbox trivia and stuff, and I'll use just like a basically a drop sheet that is made for filming, so it's got like a slightly reflective silver coat to it. It works really well, and we pull it really tight around the sides with like clips and stuff, so there's no wrinkles because it drives me nuts. And I have it mounted on like a cloth or a pole that clips in, drops down. I'd rather do like a stand-up one than those inflatable ones because you got your fan that goes on and you've got wrinkles, which drive me crazy. So like the pull-down ones, I think, are a little like less wiggly there, but and would get rid of your fan issue. But since you already have that, my suggestion would have been to do the Move or the Roam, because the Roam is smaller and cheaper and still has pretty good sound and still works with AirPlay. So that would be an option. When we do this, I've got a few different projectors. I like these guys as the Nebula something, who knows, just a Nebula one. I even have the R2-D2 one in our bedroom, and it makes the little boop beep noises when it like turns on. It's great. But yeah, and there's also a larger Nebula one that we use for outside that's brighter in 4K. That works really well. But I'll just take my Apple TV out. Like I could just take an HDMI adapter with an iPad, but yeah, I take the Apple TV out more often than not. Okay. And I think the AirPlay works just fine, especially if you have Wi-Fi in that area. AirPlay shouldn't give you any issues. You can go with the Roam because it's cheaper and it's still nicely water resistant. You can put on a Qi charger to power it up and everything. So the Roam is good. Move bigger, more bass, so maybe more rumbly as you're cranking through the Star Wars movies. So that may make more sense, but it is, like you said, more expensive. So a little tossed up. I don't know. I wish there was more projectors that supported like AirPlay natively, and I know there are some that support AirPlay that you can then use just to cast audio without having to have a middleman going on. But AirPlay would basically be your only real solution, I feel like, because then you do have more multi-point audio versus Bluetooth to a single speaker. You got your Sonos ones in the back. Get another AirPlay device. Like you can look at the Libertone Zips are nice, but just some sort of AirPlay speaker would have been my go-to
from
solution.
Anker? Okay, it says it connects to Wi-Fi. I'll put a link to the Amazon thing in the show notes. Okay, well, I'll think about listeners.
Because I use an Apple TV
the Apple
to a
TV,
pair
I
of
think, can go
HomePods.
to any AirPlay speaker
HomePod Minis.
from the control center. So I'll try that next time. Listeners, let me know if you have any kind of solution for this. I'd love to know. And real quick, I'm going to sneak one last listener question here. Kurt sent me an email. He's asking about turning off your thermostat whenever a window is open. He's got the ecobee thermostat, and he knows that if he does some contact sensors when windows open and close, turn off the AC when I open a window, turn it back on when I close it. But he wants to be able to check the status of those sensors to prevent the AC from turning off or on inadvertently. I think ecobee actually sells their own contact sensors that integrate more closely with the thermostat for that open and closed automation. And so I would recommend, if you haven't tried already, try the one specifically for ecobee. Am I crazy, or does that sound like the right solution?
That is absolutely the right solution. We use it all the time on our back door. And yeah, whenever it's a specific one that like checks occupancy of the room, there's like a little downward facing spot that'll check the occupancy of the room, used for like the remote room controls inside of ecobee, but it will also tell the sensor or tell the thermostat that a door or window is open and turn off the AC if left open for an extended period of time. So if you leave the door open for 5 minutes, you're getting an alert. Hey, your back window's been open for 5 minutes. We're going to turn off your AC so that you're not trying to cool the outside. And when you close it, it'll go ahead and resume everything. No hassle at all. Plus, you get the actual contact sensors and you get the occupancy sensors for ecobee to make it more accurate in its heating and cooling decisions. So they're probably a little bit more than some of the other ones for HomeKit that you can get that are like dirt cheap.
Yeah, and I'll put links in show notes directly to that ecobee motion sensor, and you can get the combo door window sensor and occupancy sensor, and all in one. So there you go, Kurt. Let us know if that helps you out. Of course, subscribe to the YouTube channel. We've been doing some fun stuff on camera, youtube.com/HomeKit Insider, and also leave us a 5-star rating and review in Apple Podcasts. We appreciate those as well. Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you next time. Wax on, wax off.